Hello friends, bienvenidos. My name is Jen, aka Giancarlo on social media, your local witchy friend and intuitive guide through the occult. As always, my lovely husband and co-host is David, aka Premier Pulls on social media.
Hi everyone, on today's episode, Jen explains angel numbers.
Welcome to the show, grab a chair, make yourself at home. Jen's got stories to share, you'll never feel alone.
Alright, well let's get into angel numbers. I wore my appropriate LA hat for the Angels, City of Angels. We wrapped up kind of the good or Fat Tuesday to Easter episodes. Those are done. Funny enough, we're actually recording day of Easter, so we didn't do an Easter episode. I think that's played out. Our last one was the Good Friday episode, but we're excited to switch topics. We have had some cool guests also, so April's been a good one for the podcast.
Yes, yeah.
Well, let's get into angel numbers. I think this might be an interesting episode. Forewarned, it might ruffle some feathers. I think there's a lot of people who subscribe to the idea of angel numbers, and through your research, I think you found that maybe it has some less than desirable traits. So I'm really interested to learn about them, and then also just kind of show a reflection of like our belief systems, in the sense that like we do strive to get to like the truth and the history of things. I know a lot of practices that you do personally, you really like to educate yourself, and you want to know that you're not practicing something that maybe goes against your belief system or your morals. And so far with what you do with astrology, tarot, you've accepted that you're okay with that. And I'm sure even that has some like murky water sometimes, but it's something that I think you incorporate well. I think you're very ethical, and I'm kind of curious to learn more about these angel numbers.
Yeah. Have you ever looked at the clock and seen 1111, or had a day where you see nothing but repeating threes or something like that? That's an angel number. So is it, a divine message? Is it a modern creation, or is it both? So, like I said, angel numbers are repeating numbers, typically in sets of threes, but it could also be 1111, 2222, or even just like two digits. Sometimes folks notice like all day today I've been seeing these numbers, like is this a message? And the term angel numbers was actually coined in the 2000s, but we'll get more to that later. So
it's super modern. Yeah.
I mean, it has roots all the way back to the 6th century BC. We'll talk about that in a minute. But something interesting with angel numbers, in my opinion, is that if someone has an angel number tattoo, that's a Gen Z giveaway. That's very, very popular with Gen Z folks to have like angel numbers tattooed on them. When we watched Love Island last season, a lot of them had angel numbers tattooed.
Oh, did they?
And a lot of them were Gen Z. Yeah. Millennials usually have an anchor or a Harry Potter tattoo.
A clock.
Which a lot of people are getting covered up now. But so each generation has like different types of tattoos, and it's a Gen Z giveaway when I see an angel number most of the time.
And then there was generations that did not have tattoos.
Yeah.
Yes.
Only if you served in like the military or something. But a lot of people believe that seeing these repeating numbers, angel numbers, that they're a message from your guardian angels, spirit guides, the universe, or your higher self. There was no universal definition until the 2000s. And even then, there's room for interpretation, and we'll go in chronological order. We'll get more to the 2000s later. But some people use these angel numbers like a dictionary. They'll literally Google or look up like, what does this mean? And then other people will use it as a prompt for personal reflection. And throw back to our numerology episode.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. I was like, we do have a numerology episode. I wonder how much overlap there's going to be. Did you get an opportunity to listen to that episode before this?
No, but I remember it, and there's quite a bit of overlap. Yeah, there is quite a bit of overlap. So let's start with Pythagoreas in the 6th century BC. So
is this the same Pythagoreas from the Pythagorean theorem?
Yep.
Yes.
That same guy. Yeah. This guy loved numbers like so much.
It's really cool. Like I know it's a joke. Like, what's the only thing you remember from school is like the Pythagorean theorem, the quadratic equation, and the mitochondria is like the powerhouse of the cell. But for calculating distances, the Pythagorean theorem is really cool because all it is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And then you can get some crazy measurements off just using that formula, right? Mm-hmm. Did you say your dad kind of used it without knowing what it was?
He didn't use Pythagorean's theorem without knowing, but my dad, he only achieved like a 3rd or 5th grade education somewhere in elementary school, but he's really, really intelligent. And what he did his job, which includes numbers, like in his own way, and he always got the right result. And then there was a change in management, and this guy comes in and he told my dad, you need to use sine, cosine, and all of those tan. Tan. I was like, I know I'm missing one. I think I was going to call it teg or something. Yeah, tan. All of those like calculus sort of mathematical things. And my dad only went up to the 3rd or 5th grade. I can't remember right now. One of those elementary schools. So there's no way he learned that. And he was like, I don't understand why this guy wants me to use this. I still get the same answer. I was like, there's no way. This was like when I was in high school. So I gave him an equation. And I just used the sine, cosine
on your graphing calculator?
On my calculator, and I challenged him to do the same problem. He got it to like the 10,000th decimal.
Wow. So he was doing his own formulas. With
like adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing, he got to like the 10,000th decimal.
That's crazy. I think there's so much beauty in math. That's why a lot of people call it math the universal language, because it's the same across the spectrum. So but I digress. We went a little off tangent, but yes, so this is the same dude.
Yes, same dude, 6th century BC, more or less. He was a Greek mathematician somewhere in like southern Italy. He was the
Italians really had a lot of leisure, didn't they?
Yeah, there was a lot going on in like a lot of parts of the world. It's just that history like forgets or erases it. But yeah, he was not only like a mathematician, he was also a philosopher and a mystic. So, and he also kind of had a cult, which was interesting, like a cult of mathematics. Yes. So yeah, they had some intricate rituals and things, but I digress. He loved numbers so much that he figured out the Pythagorean theorem, which was the basis or some of the basis for Fibonacci to do his work. So overlap to our golden ratio episode as well. And he believed that numbers weren't just counting tools, but that they had their own frequency and their own like life source. He really loved numbers and thought every number was special. So he took his love of math to like to the next level. Yes. So he didn't invent angel numbers, but his love of numbers and appreciating each one as like a universal truth really paved the way for this belief in angel numbers.
I don't recall what episode it was, but I know I've had this discussion before. When it comes to giving meaning to numbers, I worry sometimes that it is too arbitrary, because in numbers there's infinity, right? Between 1 and 2, you can have an infinite amount of numbers. Mm-hmm. And then there's rational number, irrational numbers, integers. And that's what I think makes certain things like numerology or angel numbers a little difficult to grasp, because sure, we're going to see repeating numbers, but there's also patterns in the world that we follow to function as a society. You're not going to see like 11, 11 and 3/4. Most of the time we're talking about this like holistic or spiritual or, kind of extra addition to numbers. It's whole integers. Rarely are we talking about like pi, or are we talking about decimals or even negative numbers. So it almost fits too perfectly. And of course we're gonna grasp at what we know, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So next, cross-cultural roots. There's so much like numerology and just sacred numbers, not angel numbers yet, but just a lot of sacred numbers in different cultures. So everyone has their superstition. So for example, in Chinese culture, 4 is bad because it sounds like death, and then 8 is prosperity. So a lot of businesses will compete to get real estate that like ends in the number 8, or purchase like a landline that's all eights.
In Dubai, the most desired license plate numbers are the lower ones. So like license plate number 1, license plate number 2, like those single digits or like double digits. I mean, they can go for more than the car itself, which is crazy. Yeah.
Interesting. I wonder why. In ancient Egypt, numbers were embedded into like temples and architecture for divine proportion. And then in the Kabbalah, there's something called gematria, which is assigning numerical values to letters to decode sacred text. So basically, like a word will add up to
like
a specific
cipher?
number. Yes. And there's a rumor or a myth of an Assyrian king that reportedly built a wall to the length of matching the numerical value of his name. So he erected something using math and his name. So, this is not only a Western phenomena. We see this across all cultures that they have their own belief in like numbers being sacred.
Yes.
So,
and again, still whole integers though, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So in the 1800s, there was someone named Sarah Joanna Dennis Ballier, or her pen name, her author name was Mrs. L. Dow Ballier. She was largely unknown, but she's a very important figure for basically continuing on the thought path or trajectory of angel numbers. She studied a lot of like numerology and Pythagoreas theorem. She also liked math, but like Pythagoreas assigned like some metaphysical holistic values to these numbers and expanded on it. She argued that each number had its own vibration, color, and even musical note. And she believed that living in harmony requires aligning with your personal numerical energy. And of course, people will label her work as pseudoscience, but it didn't disappear. And she even published in around like the 1800s, something about numbers and their philosophy. So, very
1800s.
interesting.
I mean, that's definitely a while back ago, but a little more modernistic than ancient Greek, right?
Yeah. So there was that jump from 6 BCE
To
to
1800s.
Yes.
And that sustainability of the belief that numbers do hold a higher spiritual meaning.
Yeah. So like we said, there isn't like a universal belief, because for some people 4s are good, and then in China 4s are bad. So sometimes it's interesting when clients will text me about specific numbers and they're like, what do you think of this number? What does this number mean? Or like, I'm a life path, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, there's really no definition.
There's no unified theory of spirituality of numbers.
Yeah. It's so cultural, up to interpretation. Like, I could pull some cards for you to see what it means for you, but I can't give you a definition of like this for sure means this. And then very similarly to how I mentioned in the numerology episode, when it comes to my own, like if I see repeating numbers, I take that more as a sign to stop and reflect and be like, what do I need to reflect on right now? It's more a cue.
But you don't put as much stock into the meaning of the numbers.
No,
right?
not really. Yeah. For me, it's more like if you're seeing a pattern, you need to reflect on something. It's like a stop sign, almost like stop and reflect for me personally.
But you blow through stop signs, so.
This is true. Don't tell the cops. So now let's get into the 2000s. So
Let's.
in the 2000s, Doreen Virtue authored a book and an oracle deck and went on to build this legacy on angel numbers. And she called it angel numbers. So this is where we get the actual term angel numbers
Like the
from.
modern definition that we see on TikTok, that we see online. Yeah.
But she was the first one to call repeating numbers angel numbers. She's a very interesting person. She's still alive today and she's still making content. Her YouTube is alive and well. So she was a new age author, spiritual teacher. She had a background in psychology, and her roots were Christian Scientists, which is a very niche sect of like Christianity, which is very interesting.
Is that the Christian Science reading rooms? Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, went on to be a best-selling author, speaker, super popular. Around 2004, 2005, she published Angel Numbers with co-author Lynette Brown and created a structured meaning system for the sequences from 0 to 999.
Lynette Brown sounds so popular. Or so, that name sounds so familiar is what I meant to say.
Probably because we just spoke about Sylvia Brown.
No, I think, well, around that time, there was also like a big push. There's like a book called The Secret. I don't know if you remember that book, where there's a big shift of like, your mentality dictates your reality. And there was a big new age wave of that, like self-propelling mindset of psychology, where if you want it, you can achieve it and you can do it. I'm still a little on the fence on that. I think
that's not her.
I know. I'm just saying, like around that time, it's like it sounds very familiar, and I think that's why I'm recognizing it. But anyways,
yeah, maybe. So interesting about Doreen Virtue. She claims that she studied under Pythagoreas in a past life.
yes.
So there is that tie to Pythagoreas, even in the 2000s, that in her past life, she was part of his school or his cult, whatever you want to call it. And that's how she had authority on the subject, which is very interesting. I don't know what type of past life regression she did, but that's her story. She was sticking to it. Here's the plot twist. In 2017, she very publicly converted to Christianity after having like a vision of Jesus or whatever happened to her. And she publicly renounced everything. Angel numbers, oracle cards, mediumship. She admitted that the tarot scared her. And so she wanted basically like her own deck that wasn't so scary. But this is the difference, I think, with like the type of healers that you can find in the community. Do they have what's called like an internal locus of control or an external locus of control? So basically, does your reader lead you back to yourself, or do they lead you to a higher power? She was always convinced that there was like a God, a higher power. I'm not saying believing in God is bad necessarily, but with my practice, I mean, I'm not perfect, but I believe that everyone has their own power and the ability to change their life, and not that their power is dependent on these like extraterrestrial, otherworldly beings.
I feel like we, on this podcast, we always talk about the proverbial pipeline, and usually the proverbial pipeline is to Christianity. It kind of feels like the Scooby-Doo episodes where they like unmask the villain at the end, and it's like, it was the janitor the whole time. I feel like if you do trace back a lot of these like new age practices, it does have like a weak or sometimes a straight correlation to Christianity. It's just like a tailored version to more of the like new age healing people.
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of people that are very like, if you're going to be outgoing, you're going to be outgoing. You know what I mean? So a lot of these outgoing Christians, when they go into new age spirituality, they take a lot of their same like evangelization techniques into the new age spirituality space. And so the theme continues, but then because their practice isn't rooted in anything practical, it's all vibes or just something not sustainable. And they were a little bit more of a cult of personality. That's how they can slip and slide right back to Christianity, because they weren't anchored in anything concrete, in my opinion.
And I do want to say in preface, I don't think there's anything wrong to finding your way back to a certain calling, religion, spirituality, or discovering a new spirituality as you grow, develop, learn more things. I think the problem comes in where maybe you used a certain practice, a certain cultural appropriation, and then discarded it like, oh no, that was wrong, that was a cult, I saw the truth, and you're diminishing the platform that took you even to find your own path. There was a recent girl online who, like, I guess was like super witchy, and she did a video where she threw away her tarot cards and her crystals, and she threw away like her incense and sage, and she's like, I'm a full-blown Christian now. And like, that's cool, like live your truth, but also like throwing away like a lot of the things she threw out are sacred for other people, right? And I think it makes people uncomfortable, but it would be the equivalent of somebody being like, I'm going to throw away my rosary, and I'm going to throw away my Bible, and I'm going to throw away like all the things that are in Christian, and now I'm going to become like, I don't know, something else. Like, the Christian community would have a field day if somebody posted them like throwing away those sacred artifacts that they hold so important to their religion. And it's the same thing, right? Like, just because maybe it's a different religion, it's not a mainstream religion, or it's a different spirituality, being disrespectful to the things that brought you to where you are is so bad, right? I think maybe a better way to do it, or a more conscientious way to do it, be like, listen, I found Christianity, and I'm using Christianity because it's the easiest example. Like, I found Christianity, like, this is my truth now, but I am thankful for what I learned. But it's like that cliche of like when, you know, certain like white artists will like start with like hip hop and rap, and then once they blow up, they go to country. Like, you use that as a stepping stone, and now that you've like outgrown it or think that it's no longer serving you, now you're dismissive of that.
But here's the through line. Like, at every phase, I'm right and I'm the authority.
Yeah.
When I was New Age, I was right and I was the authority. Y'all better listen to me. When they found Christianity, I'm right, I'm the authority. Y'all better listen to me.
Yeah.
Like,
and the hypocrisy, right? Because then you were wrong, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I was wrong then, but I'm right now.
Yeah.
Like, my present self is always right.
Yeah.
So it's sort of that, like, for a lack of a better word, narcissistic, self-centered energy that to watch out for, because it's like when you were pre-whatever, you were right, and then you found a new spirituality, and then you're right, and then you denounce that spirituality, but you're still right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I get it. I mean, nobody's infallible, including us. Like, I want to hold us to our own standard, which is a standard in which like we could be completely wrong about a lot of things.
100%.
I know, you know, for entertainment purposes, there's a lot of bravado and a lot of like joking of like, oh, I'm right, I know things, but we really don't. And we do take this platform to learn. And I think if somebody called you out or calls you out on your practices, or shit, even calls me out, which now they have in like certain comments, it's like, yeah, like we should grow and learn from it and not double down and be like, oh no, we're right on what we're saying.
Yeah, exactly. So it's interesting. She called her own work spiritually misleading and garbage, and that it's all fake. And she asked people to stop buying her books and basically like let it die. But people won't. People love angel numbers. It's really interesting. I watched one of her recent YouTube episodes, and we'll dissect it in a minute, but something interesting that she said, she was like, I got to a point where I thought everything that I was saying was the truth because I was one with God. Like, if I decided that 3 is this because God told me. Like, that's the point to where she got. And that's where that's a little bit dangerous. And it's like, where did you base the meanings from 0 to 999? It was just from her brain, and because she studied under Pythagoreas. That's why, yes, there's this little like pocket dictionary, but when you pick apart like, where does this knowledge come from? It doesn't come from anywhere like in particular or really rooted in.
It's rooted off vibes.
Yeah, it's really rooted off of vibes. So.
But now she's saying like, now she's giving credit to God, essentially. Yeah. So I watched a very interesting YouTube video, and I'm excited to dissect and talk more about it right after this ad break. Today's episode is brought to you by us, Kythera Collective. If you've been vibing with the energy of the show, then you're going to love the Kythera Club over on Patreon. It's a space that I built for the cosmic, the curious, and the slightly chaotic. You know who you are. With 3 delicious tiers to choose from, we start with the chocolate level at $4 a month, which gains you access to weekly horoscopes and the exclusive Unhinged podcast, where I say things that don't make it to this main feed. It's sweet, it's spicy, and it's just for you. Next, we have the cafe level at $7 a month. This is where things really start to get cooking. You'll receive access to exclusive workshops, monthly virtual hangouts, and a private Discord community where you can chat directly with me and receive exclusive behind-the-scenes updates. It's magical, cozy, and a little unhinged in the best way.
Finally, we have the tequila level. This is the VIP lounge. At $25 a month, you'll receive everything from the previous tiers, plus a personal 15-minute one-on-one session with myself or David each month, and discounts if you want to extend the session. It's a whole vibe and a powerful way to receive personalized guidance. So if you've been laughing along with us, crying or rage screaming in agreement, come hang out with us at the Kythera Club. Head over to patreon.com/GenColo and choose your tier. If you want to sponsor an episode and advertise with us, go to our website, www.gencolo.com. All right, now back to the show. Welcome back. So her conversion story is interesting. She said that she was driving and for some reason had Christian radio pulled up, like Christian talk show. And
it was on a repeating number FM station.
Maybe. And she said that this like Bible verse was enough to shake her worldview and renounce everything. So Deuteronomy 18:10-13, let no one be found among you who sacrifices their son or daughter in the fire, who practices divination or sorcery, interprets omens, engages in witchcraft or casts spells, or who is a medium or spiritist, or who consults the dead. Anyone who does these things is detestable to the Lord. Because of these same detestable practices, the Lord your God will drive you out, or will drive out those nations before you. You must be blameless, therefore, before the Lord your God. So
if one verse can really rock your world wasn't stable to begin with, in my opinion.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah. If just hearing someone say you're an abomination if you do this is enough to rock your world, I get told that all the time. And it's like, I'm still standing 10 toes down. Yeah. So yeah,
10 manicured toes down too.
10 manicured toes down. So yeah, I thought that was really interesting. It's like, yeah, I read that verse when I was like 10. I know what I'm walking into. I know how people view me. It's fine. That's not going to change my perception.
You and I are very similar. Like, what is it about that action that really coaxes us a lot? Like, that really pushes our buttons? Because I feel like to me, it's the hypocrisy of it all. It's the like, sure, own it. I'm not mad that you're a Christian now. I just don't like the, like, it just irks me that it's like, girl, you 1 minute were one thing, all of a sudden you had a reawakening, and now you've like completely disregarded your identity.
Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah, and if it's one thing if it's like I've outgrown it, like it's just not me anymore. I've had friends who have said that. They're like, I used to do tarot, I used to do astrology, and like honestly I've outgrown it. I'm on a different path now. And it's like, yeah. That works for you. That's cool. Maybe one day I'll outgrow it. I don't think so, but who knows? Maybe I will. I'm flexible, I'm open, and I could be wrong.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, it's just the like, I was right then and I'm right now. The constant is I'm always right. Listen to me and watch my videos. Yeah. So that's kind of interesting. And in one of her videos, she, because she was, when she got big in the 2000s, she was on talk shows and people love to like interview her. She was interviewed by Oprah and Oprah gave her some mementos. She was like, burning them and crushing them with a hammer. Like, it was intense. I was like, oh my god.
It reminded me of Kat Von D. She kind of had her like conversion as well. She was super like all goth, had like a bunch of tattoos, and would like reverence like a lot of symbolism with the occult. She's also Mexican. Like, she was born in Mexico and speaks full Spanish. I think she like really leaned into that like the bruja aesthetic, and I could be misquoting, but I also want to say she was like into the Santa Muerte. She had a pool at her house that she dyed red to look like blood, and then one day she's like, no, like I'm a full Christian, and she's like, I think she did a video where she's like throwing her books away and doing all that, which again, I'll grow it, that's fine, but it's just like, dude, you built an empire on this like image. Obviously it's okay to grow from it, but just to be like, this is wrong, I think that's where it's like bad.
Yeah.
If anything, that is how we grow, right? We learn from our mistakes. We grow from what we don't know. We learn new knowledge. That's like the natural path forward. Like, it's okay to let people know that, right? Mm-hmm. But to just be completely dismissive, I guess, it's like not a good thing.
Yeah.
It's also an easy. Sorry, I think also part of it is like the bigger systematic thing of like people who maybe do horrendous things and like crimes against humanity but then they find God, like usually it's in prison, and now, sure, by like man's laws, like the punishment still stays, but they themselves become abolished of like what they did wrong, and then like people who are following that religion will also like forgive essentially and be like, well, I'm not judged, or I can't judge you. Only one person can judge you, but then they judge everybody else. Yeah.
I also think it's interesting, like, if you follow the timeline of the United States, from 2008 to 2016, we were living under, like, a democratic rulership where it was more like everyone do what they want, like, don't bother each other, just live your life. And then as soon as 2016 came around, we got into a little bit more of a conservative mode that we've been stuck in ever since. And it's like, you want to do it when it's cool and when it's easy, but then when it gets hard, like, you want to be mainstream. As much as you say you don't want to be mainstream, you do want to be mainstream. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, so I think that's kind of interesting in the through line that I see with a lot of these folks. It's like when it's cool and you can capitalize off of it, that's when you go hard, and then you just drop it like a hot potato when it no longer serves you. But why do angel numbers continue to be popular? Really, I would say because of the pandemic, because it's amazing for short form content. You can knock out so many videos, like what does 1 mean? What does 2 mean? From 0 to 999. It's so easy to make short form content, and then people will just search in whether it's TikTok or Instagram or YouTube, like what does this mean? And then they'll go down a rabbit hole. So it's really easy content to create. With the pandemic and lockdown, people were more introspective because they couldn't go out, so they only had time with themselves, and there was this big like spiritual surge. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. And then also the algorithm, people are like, oh my god, this thing keeps popping up in my algorithm, it's a sign. It's like, no, the algorithm knows what you want, so if you spent too long on one type of video, it's gonna keep feeding you these videos. So
does your algorithm get all fucked up because of all of the research that you do?
Yeah.
I was wondering that. I was wondering if like your algorithm's all over the place now.
It is because I have to look at Christian content sometimes, like not because I want to, but because I need to do research. I need to know what the opposing side says. So yeah, sometimes I'll get some weird Christian stuff and I'm like, it's just because I researched something. So yeah. I don't like, for the record, I don't mind people that are like, I find solace in Jesus and this is just what makes me feel good, but I'm gonna love my neighbor. Honestly, if you're that type of like believer of anything, whether it's Buddhism, whether it's Christianity, Islam, whatever, just let people live their life and don't bother anybody. That's what I care about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, and also psychologically, it's nice to feel a sense of control when it's like, oh, I see this repeating number, it's all leading to something. It's not just randomness. Like, I can interpret this for myself. Sometimes people also find that really grounding, which is why I think that angel numbers are still very popular to this day.
And I feel like we've been casting a negative light, and there's a lot of bias in what we're saying today. But like Jen said, if it works for you, right? Like if you had somebody who like maybe recently passed away in your life and you see a repeating number that reminds you of them, by all means, I wouldn't ever be like, no, that's crazy bullshit that you believe that that's somebody talking to you. Like, no, if you find solace in that and it gives you closure, or even if it gives you a moment of like solidarity with your lost one, like totally embrace it, right? Don't let everything necessarily dictate how you live your life, but just be mindful of what you're subscribing to.
It's also just interesting with me when people try to debate me. They're like, no, 9 means this. And it's like, according to who?
Yeah.
And then, like, do you dig into history? like when you test the foundation, what is the foundation of like 9 means this? Because yeah, I'll have appointments and people are like, I'm a life path whatever, or I'm a this, I'm a that, and it's like, I don't know, I'm not going to give you a definition because there isn't one.
And you won't pretend to, right? I feel like sometimes, I think we talked about it with our spiritual scammers episode, so you might want to conform to people's beliefs just to make a quick buck, and like you will be straightforward. Like, that's not my practice. That's not what I do. If you believe in that, like, great. And you might even refer someone who has knowledge or expertise, but you'll stick to your lane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have a friend who's a practitioner, and she does believe in a higher power, as in like a one or a source or something. And she had a client get mad that she didn't say what they wanted to hear, and she told them, I serve a higher power and it's not you. Very similarly, like, maybe I don't serve a higher power, but I have morals and ethics, and that comes above all else. And I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear just because you want to hear it. Yeah. So I like seeing repeating numbers because, again, for me, it's a reminder to like stop and reflect. And specifically with repeating numbers, I like to either consult the tarot and look at the major arcana, like I mentioned in the numerology episode, or I like to use Eliza's There Are No Coincidences deck and sort of reflect and see how that resonates. So
I will give the audience a little piece right now, though. We use a clock behind the camera to kind of tell us how much time we have left. The moment you said repeating numbers, 11:11 popped up. So I will say that's kind of funny.
That is hilarious. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm not like a hater of angel numbers. It's more like if you dig your heels in, then say 9 absolutely means this.
Yeah.
Listen to what I just said during this episode. Does 9 really mean this?
Yeah. Do you, I mean, I guess we can also touch on it. Like, what are some of the numbers that, according to maybe this newer practice, mean something? Like, I always share 11:11. I always share like 4. Do you know off the top of your head what some of those like mean in this capacity or are meant to mean?
It's so hard because, like, what does this mean? Yeah. I've integrated I have my own dictionary, if you will, like for what it means for me.
But what does it mean to you?
Yeah, so it's funny. I just posted a story on the sixes. People hear 666. They think the mark of the beast. But actually, the sixes in tarot are very, like, reflective. And some of them are positive cards because sometimes, I'm going to give an example. For the 10s, the 10 of Pentacles and the 10 of Cups are, like, really beautiful. And the 10 of Swords and the 10 of Wands are, like, very disastrous. So, like, the numbers are split between good and bad, but the 6 in the tarot is one of the few that is positive and mellow all throughout, regardless of the suits. So for me, 6s are more about reflecting, and it's sort of like a check-in point, like, hey, you're halfway through your journey, how are you feeling? 2s for me is partnership, 3 is networking, 4 is stability, 8 is like infinity or abundance, 9 is almost completion, but there's something, and then 10 is completion, 11, people call it master number, so I just assumed, or I just integrated that, or it's like, it's above 10. I don't know. That's my own weird little dictionary, but I mainly, if I see, like, for example, 2121, then I'm like, oh, what's 21 in the major arcana again? It's the world. So I'll just do stuff like that.
Yeah, you'll find your own through lines. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you, I know when you do tarot, the type of tarot pulling that you do is more of a kinetic tarot where you like shuffle and the cards pop out and that's what you read. Is there a certain type of tarot reading where you read with like numbers, like the 7th card from the top, or like the 11th card is like the one you pick?
Some people do that. If you set the intention, like, I'm gonna do it this way, you could absolutely pull like that. And I know that there are some people that do that. I personally don't do that. That's just a lot of the counting I don't want to do. But yeah, I actually, maybe in the future, do want to teach a tarot class, and that's one thing that I will say. How you pull is up to you. Some people,
it's very personalized.
It's very personalized because I've tried different methods. I've tried just the like nice shuffling, you have your card stationary and you just keep pulling. That doesn't work for me. I was getting a bunch of nonsense. Like, it was not making sense. And then, I've tried from the bottom. I've tried like the washing method and just picking. Like, it just doesn't work for me. The one that has worked the best for me and my clients has been my traditional shuffling method. Which is interesting because I've seen it. It's very chaotic in my opinion. And you're a very shaky person. Like, in general, like, you're always dropping things. Sometimes you're like clinking in the kitchen, like, what the hell happened? And you're like, I dropped this spot. And I do notice a lot of times when you're shuffling, you don't have a lot of control. You're always picking up cards from the ground. And like, as a pragmatic, I'd be like, oh fuck, I gotta find a way better
way to do this, but if it works for you, it works for you.
I've tried. I've really tried. I've been like, I don't want to do it like this. And then I'll try like the nice, neat method. But I get bullshit results. My clients are like, huh? And I've told them, I've been like, I'm going to experiment with you. And they're just like, no.
Yeah. Give me the classic.
Yeah. They're like, oh, I don't care that it's chaotic. I don't care that cards are flying. Like, it makes sense that way. And I'm like, yeah, unfortunately, that's just my style.
My favorite tangible thing that you do with tarot cards is when you're reading pets, you like always boop their head. And Lucy kind of knows now when you're coming with your deck. She like puts her little face down and she scrunches and she like gives you her forehead and you just like boop her little forehead. And that's how you have them shuffle.
But if there's like a dog or a cat that's a little more aggressive, I'll just like wave it in front of them. One time I was reading like I don't remember what it's called, but it was like a huge lizard. It was like this big.
A Komodo dragon? Yeah.
Komodo dragons, I think those are in Australia and also hella dangerous.
Okay, yeah, never mind.
No, it's not a Komodo dragon.
Yeah.
It's something else. But it was this huge lizard looking thing. And I didn't want to touch it, so I just went like that.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's cute. And yeah, little chihuahuas, they're not going to let me touch them. But anyway, yeah. So I'm not saying numerology or not numerology. Angel numbers are bullshit. But again, if you're digging your heels saying there's only one definition, I challenge you on that.
Yeah, I agree with that. But then I also agree with like even the person who like invented the modern angel numbers is like over it. So like, I don't know. Take what you will with that. Mm-hmm. All right. Anything else we need to know about angel numbers?
Nope, that's it. Let's go into the fact check from last time. So,
I could do this one.
Yeah.
We talked about during the Sylvia Brown episode. Actually, our fact checks and our comments come from this episode. That one was interesting. It like started a dialogue. It felt like any other spotlight. To me, it was a more ubiquitous one. It wasn't anything like crazy, like Rasputin or anything. Super interesting character, super problematic character, but it was a little more routine for us. But this has been one of the spotlights that has like caused more conversation. But we'll start a little bit. We'll start here first with the fact checks. We talked about Steve Wilkos. That's when we were talking about talk show host. So we accidentally said Steve Wilkinson, so that's wrong. He was actually a former law enforcement agent with the Chicago PD, and he was the director of security on the Jerry Springer Show from 94 to 07. He had previously substituted for Springer as host on several occasions before being given his own talk show. So he was security for Jerry Springer, which is very appropriate, very on brand, and he's been hosting the show since 2007. So his own show. So it's still going, right?
Yeah,
it's
the Steve Wilkos show. It's still going. Yeah, when I looked him up, I was like, "What's he up to?"
Yeah,
it was like his last episode was like April 2nd or something.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So still alive and well and still doing his thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so we did get some comments. Someone that wanted to stay anonymous said that they loved her guided meditations, which I'm sure she had.
Sylvia? Yeah. So they experienced them.
Yeah. But there she's not teaching. It was more like a meditative tool, like, picture this ocean and you're on a hammock. Like,
and they do like in-person guided meditation, or was it more like...
It was a CD.
Oh, a CD, got it. Okay.
Yeah, CD back in the day.
Yeah.
So they loved her recordings. She was a very grounding person for that. And then I got permission to share this story, but Sarah, that we've interviewed, owner of Abracadabra here in Merced, has a very personal family story with Sylvia Brown. Some of her extended family members went to Sylvia Brown because an extended relative of Sarah's was unfortunately murdered, and it has never been solved even to this day. And they went, and Sylvia Brown gave the family a reading, and I asked, oh my god, don't tell me that she said that she drowned. And then she was like, thankfully not, but she did say that someone in the family did it. I was like, wow. Ooh. So it wasn't her typical they got shot in their room. But yeah, she did say that it was within the family. So,
and for clarification, just moving back, we did mention when she doubled down on the drownings or being trafficked to Asia, or that was a little more towards the end of her life, right? Mm-hmm. A big chunk of it, if we didn't make it clear, was I think she was doing whatever messages she got were more in line with like
her personal bias.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
More towards the end is when it went downhill.
Yeah. So I'm going to read a section because, I mean, this made the news.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this family member was murdered in 1997, but they made another article in 2010. To this day, like almost 30 years later,
cold case.
It's a cold case. Yeah. So if you know anything, like, please come forward and let this family have some peace. But Merced police looking for information for unsolved 1997 homicide. The Merced police are renewing their call for public help in solving this cold case of a 74-year-old grandmother who was brutally murdered in Merced in her home. There was a $50,000 reward. I don't know if it's still there anymore, but detectives say that the battered body of Louise Macias was found by a neighbor around 1:30 p.m. on May 29th, 1997, inside her apartment on the 900 block of Barney Street. And you know, he's positive that someone has information. There's someone out there that knows. What happened. Yeah. Before finding her body, the victim's neighbor heard screams coming from her apartment. She had just returned from the grocery store and her body was found in the hallway of her residence. Her death was caused by blunt force trauma with a baseball bat. So it was a very personal and brutal way to go out. And the investigators didn't find her apartment disheveled. There were signs of a brief struggle, but nothing was missing from her home. So it's not like she was mugged or something. Yeah. Like they waited.
Personal attack. Yeah.
They waited for her to come back to her apartment. It wasn't like on the street or something. Yeah. So,
wow, that's crazy. I mean, we do this podcast, and it is very, very easy to forget that this camera actually connects us to real people. I forget that all the time. I feel like I'm just looking at a camera, but it's so interesting. And I never thought that like we'd do an episode where it would be like so close to home. And I never thought it'd be a spotlight episode because these are very big personalities that we cover. Mm-hmm. But this one hit really close to home, didn't it? Yeah.
So, I mean, if you know something and you've been holding on to it for 30 years, like let this family get some peace. Please come forward. Yes. So yeah, thank you, Sarah, for allowing us to share that, and hopefully eventually the truth comes to light.
Yes. But alrighty, well, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, how can they do that?
Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Blue Sky at Giancarlo, or Facebook, Kythera Collective LLC, or our website, giancarlo.com.
Well, thank you everybody for watching today's episode.
Remember, if you like the show, rate it 5 stars and share it with a friend who might find it interesting. And remember, the magic within you makes the world a more beautiful place. Blessed be, and signing off.
Bye.